As Russian occupation forces shift their tactics from using small drone-supported groups to massed armored assaults, Ukraine is adapting its defenses, shortening its defensive lines, and creating stealthy strongholds hidden from enemy drones. Politico writes about this. If previously defensive positions were built for battalions and companies, now shelters are created even for platoons of 20 to 50 fighters. As stated by the Commander-in-Chief of the Armored Forces of Ukraine, Oleksandr Syrsky, the most effective positions have become at the level of one squad. These are trenches and foxholes difficult to access for attack drones. The long trenches were replaced by short ones, 60 to 70 meters. Their camouflage from aerial reconnaissance is mandatory. Behind the front line, construction continues on 2 additional lines of defense, including minefields, dragon's teeth and shelters from snipers and drones. At the same time, the article notes that such construction faces a number of problems. Much depends on local commanders and authorities. For example, in Dnieper, there is close cooperation between the military, authorities and business, but in the Kharkiv and Sumy regions, where the enemy is currently conducting offensive actions, the situation is worse. The publication cites the words of the co-founder of the OSINT project, Deep State, Roman Pogorely, who said that the construction of fortifications in these regions accelerated only after the new Russian offensive. The military also criticizes the lack of work to strengthen the rear, even after successful operations, such as in the Kursk region, where the Ukrainian military held back a 60,000-strong enemy group, buying time to strengthen the border zone. In particular, the fighters point out that protective nets from FPV drones on the highways began to be installed only in January. Although drone attacks had occurred earlier and the dragon's teeth in the border areas appeared after the Ukrainian forces began to retreat from the Kursk region. The article also says that Ukraine is inferior to the aggressor country in the number of personnel on the 1,200-kilometer front line. Syrsky emphasizes that even the most modern defense structure will not work without a sufficient number of fighters.
On Monday, July 7th, drones attacked the city of Krasnozavodsk in the Moscow region of the Russian Federation. Local telegram channels reported that Ukrainian suicide drones targeted the chemical plant, which specializes in industrial and military chemicals. Previously, a local plant specializing in the production of military chemicals was under their sights. The Russians reported the sounds of drones and explosions. They posted videos online, including the moment of the arrival. Residents of Sergiev Posad and Krasnozavodsk told the telegram channel Shot that they heard explosions. According to them, the drones flew quite low, and in total, about 10 explosions were heard in the area of one of the local enterprises. In the chats of Krasnozavodsk, the attack on the local chemical plant is reported. The Ukrainian telegram channel Exile Nova Plus writes that the target of the attack was the Krasnozavodsk chemical plant. Andriy Kovalenko, head of the Disinformation Center of the National Security and Defense Council of Ukraine, wrote later about the attack on this plant. According to him, explosive substances, gunpowder, components for ammunition and rocket weapons are produced there. According to local residents, about 7 pops were heard in the city as of this morning. Some videos show smoke rising from the explosion zone. Possibly an attack on the Chervonozavodsk chemical plant, their messages said. JSC, Krasnozavodsk chemical plant, is an enterprise in the Moscow region of the Russian Federation, specializing in the production of industrial and military chemicals. The plant is known for producing artillery charges, explosives, and components for ammunition for the Russian army. The plant's areas of activity include anti-terrorist products for the Ministry of Defense, the Ministry of Internal Affairs, the FSB, and the like. In particular, They manufacture artillery charges, explosives, components for ammunition, and aircraft protection equipment. Recall that unknown drones were also reported in the Russian capital and Leningrad region on the evening of July 6. Restrictions were introduced at local airports, and authorities reported the shooting down of at least 8 aerial targets. In addition to the Moscow region, according to the data of the Ministry of Defense of Russia, 20 drones were shot down over Belgorod region, 14 over Kursk region, 9 over Lipetsk region, 8 over Bryansk and Voronezh regions, 7 over the Black Sea region, 3 over Novgorod, Tver, Tambov and Leningrad regions, 2 over Oryol region and 1 each over Vladimir region, Krasnodar region and annexed Crimea.
Вот суки ебучие. Прилетел на завод, блядь. Прилетает.
As reported, the Ukrainian Defense Forces have attacked the command post of the 8th Combined Arms Army of the Russian Federation for the second time in a week. The attack on the enemy post took place on July the 3rd. This was reported by the General Staff of the Ukrainian Armed Forces. Ukrainian defenders also hit the command post of the 20th Motorized Rifle Division of the Russian Armed Forces in the temporarily occupied territory of Donetsk Oblast. The enemy's losses are being clarified. Our constant high-precision strikes significantly reduce the enemy's ability to plan and conduct operations in the region. All efforts aimed at continuing the occupation of the sovereign territory of Ukraine will be met with precise retaliation and will cost the enemy dearly, the statement said. The General Staff noted that Ukrainian fighters will continue to destroy the Russian occupiers' control system. Ukraine will continue to fight until all Russian troops are withdrawn from the sovereign territory of our state and a just and lasting peace is restored, the General Staff emphasized. On the morning of July the 4th, units of the Unmanned Systems Forces of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, in cooperation with other components of the Defense Forces, struck JSC, Federal Scientific and Production Center Research Institute of Applied Chemistry. The enterprise currently produces thermobaric warheads for Shahed-type UAVs and is an important link in the armed aggression of the Russian Federation against Ukraine. Recently, in the temporarily occupied Kharkiv of Donetsk region, powerful explosions thundered. According to preliminary data, an ammunition depot was damaged. In addition, on the evening of June the 30th, a series of explosions were also recorded in occupied Donetsk. Several military facilities of the Russian occupation forces were probably damaged. Ukraine targeted the Borysoglebsk airfield in Russia's Voronezh Oblast overnight on July the 5th, damaging a warehouse with guided bombs, aircraft and other military assets. Ukraine's General Staff reported. The airfield hosts Su-34, Su-35S and Su-30SM jets that Russia regularly uses in airstrikes against Ukraine, according to the military. The strike may have destroyed a training and combat aircraft, with further assessments underway. The NASA Fire Information for Resource Management System detected a fire near the Borysoglebsk military airfield shortly after the strike. Residents in the area reported 8 to 10 powerful explosions. According to Russian independent outlet Astra, explosions were also heard overnight in Cheboksary, the capital of the Chuvash Republic. Additionally, explosions were heard during the night in Engels, Saratov Oblast. The attacks come as Russia escalates aerial assaults on Ukraine, prompting Kiev to increase long-range drone strikes on Russian military targets. Ukrainian officials say these drone operations aim to undermine Russia's strike capabilities and bring the war closer to those enabling the Kremlin's campaign